Hello and welcome to From Planning to Prosperity, the podcast where we spotlight wealth management professionals who are shaping the future of financial advice and client service. I'm Stephen Palmer, and today I'm excited to meet Matt Gottshall from Balance Wealth Group. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you doing, Stephen?
Doing very good. Before we dive in here, I'd just like to ask you to share a little background about yourself and what you do in the wealth management space, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. A little background on myself. I'm headquartered and live and grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm a Cleveland sports fanatic through and through. I went to Ohio State, just south of Cleveland, down in Columbus. And I started in the business as an intern, actually, with the practice that I'm still at today in about 2015. So it's year 10 of me being in and around everything financial planning, and started on a team of three people that we've grown into a team of 10 with another one coming on next year of 11 with some interns. So excited to share about my journey and some of the things that we're doing in the financial planning world and about our firm with Balance Wealth Group.
Great. Sounds awesome. Go Cleveland.
Yes.
For our listeners, many may not know like what's in the day-to-day of a wealth manager, which is kind of some things that you and I have talked about a little bit before this meeting. Can you kind of just like lay that out so people understand how hard you work?
Yeah, well, not to toot my own horn, but we do work very hard. But I would say it's a loaded question, one that I can break down easily from my perspective. But, just starting with the fact that like the term financial advisor is, could mean 40 different things, right? You've
Right.
got people that only sell insurance that call themselves an advisor. You've got people that just deal only with investments who call themselves a financial advisor. And then you have people that are full service model calling themselves a financial advisor. Like you don't need to be to have a doctorate to call yourself a financial advisor. Almost anyone that can come off the street and solicit someone to pay them for business and call themselves an advisor. So I think it's very important for people that are either in the industry, young, looking to get into it, to understand that just because someone calls themselves a financial advisor does not mean that they are doing anything and everything for the people that they work with. Um, I think that's just really important to understand too, as you're looking at potential places of employment, going out on your own and starting your own firm, that there's so much to the business that doesn't meet the eye, especially from like a title perspective. Um, so,
Very
from a day to day perspective of what it is that we're doing, like the easiest way for me to break it down for people when they think of like what the heck does a financial advisor do is that I always tell
Mhm.
people that we are people's personal CFOs. So you think
Right.
of any major corporation or big company and what the role of the CFO is for that company. That is what we are for individuals and families, right? Our entire practice and what we do from a day to day is built around servicing our clients and helping them make decisions around everything that they have to do in their financial life. Now, of
Nice.
course, we're not just sitting there on a computer waiting for people to ask us questions and answer them. That is a part of what we do. But so much of what we're doing is proactive around driving, meetings, engagement, discussion, around everything from trading and money movement inside of accounts. It's reviewing benefits elections. Like right now, we're recording this in November 5th, like right in the middle of open enrollment for the majority
Right.
of the people we work with, and we're getting questions constantly. We request benefits books to make sure that people shouldn't be changing their healthcare plans or changing elections for insurance or disability or HSA contributions, you name it. Um, there's everything that is revolved around benefits. Um, Part of what we do is we partner with a tax team where part of our service and what people pay us for is to get tax prep. So in the spring, it is all go as far as taxes go, helping people gather everything together. We review all of our clients' tax returns before they get filed for mistakes, accuracy. So there's so much that goes into just the tax preparation, but also the
Yeah.
planning, doing projections for the year. Right now, we're a ton of year-end tax planning, people that are giving money to charities, making sure contribution limits are hit, making sure withholding is on pace to be where it is. So, from a day to day, every day is different, right? People have
Yeah.
different needs, questions, things that are popping up. We have people that are having children, people that are getting married, people that are buying houses, selling
Mhm.
businesses, right? So, there's only so much that you can plan for in a given year. And so much of your day is, catering around the service model of clients coming to us with requests, questions, needs, and problem solving for them and helping them feel confident about the decisions they have to make and doing what we need to do on the proactive side to make sure that we are checking the boxes of reviewing the important things in our clients' lives.
Awesome. That's a great picture of your world. Very well described. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
So, in terms of the industry in general, I mean, wealth management, like we've talked about, it's evolving, and it's evolving at a great neck pace right now because there's a lot of people coming into retirement. And since you're like right in the center of all that, I mean, what shifts are you noticing in your industry right now? Like, is it client related stuff? Is it compliance? Is it tech? Is it all of it?
Yeah, I would say it's a combination of all three, and I can give specific examples plus more, right? I think the biggest changes that I've seen over the last couple of years revolve around one, the ability now that there is so much technology that we can leverage to provide more service, advice than ever before. I mean, one example of that is the fact that like we have a partnership with a firm called wealth.com.
Hmm.
Wealth.com is a service only accessible to financial advisors where we pay them and they provide us with estate document creation services for our clients.
Hmm.
So we're facilitating that whole process. So part of what our clients pay us and the service model that they get is the ability to get their estate plan created, documents, wills, living wills, trusts, powers of attorney, get that updated into the future with changes. And we are able to facilitate and give access to our clients that whole process, leveraging technology and a firm that
Yeah,
does all that work on the back end. Um,
that's super helpful.
yeah, I mean, just the ability to do something like that, like didn't hardly exist. It didn't exist 5 years ago.
Right.
Maybe it did in some super small scale model, but ultimately, like the ability to leverage technology to drive efficiency, but also to be able to offer so much more to people. And it's what our clients are looking for. So, like technology, things are changing on that perspective. There's so much out there now about the different models and the way that we charge and, give service. Like there's a lot of
Yeah.
fee compression, and all fee compression means is that like people are trying to figure out how to get more value and pay the least amount of money possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to combat that from the standpoint that, I don't believe that you should be charging as little as possible and providing exceptional service, but
Hmm.
you have to make sure that you are providing outsized value for the cost that you are charging, or
Right.
you are going to become extinct in this business.
Yeah.
There's so many advisors out there that do nothing other than manage a portfolio. And while there's nothing wrong with that, I'm finding that people are just wanting and looking for more and more. And, with the ability, technology is advancing at a rapid enough rate to not necessarily make those people obsolete because there's such a relationship and emotional component to it, but you
Sure.
need to be providing more service, especially if you're going to charge average or above average costs in our industry. Um, and that's one thing that's really big.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
That's a
just
good.
think,
That's a good.
yeah.
That's a good conversation. I mean, as we come move along in our economy, I mean, it's interesting how the new stuff replaces the old ways, right? And especially in consulting, because consulting is typically an old boys club.
Mhm.
It doesn't move that often. That's
Yeah.
great though that you guys are aware, hyper aware, and being insightful about taking care of your customers in the best ways possible. Because these young people they're a little bit smarter.
Yeah, I think, the younger the client gets, the more they're on social media, the more they're exposed to, I guess like old habits dying. And I think the younger your practice is, the more they're looking for value. The more they're looking for, how am I going to continue to get more? I use the word value a lot, but like, how do I get
Yeah.
more and more every single year for what it is that I'm paying?
Yeah.
And I think if you are an advisor or a practice that is basically just maintaining the status quo and not constantly trying to figure out ways to enhance the work that you do and add more for your clients, that there's plenty of people out there, like a firm like ours, like I like to believe, that are doing those things, that are going to continue to suck away clients from people that are not trying to grow and expand what it is that they do for people.
Right. Yeah, not only small businesses, but I mean, there's also freelancer types in your industry too.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and
there's
there's huge
there's going to
institutional.
be people. Yeah, there's going to be new people coming out of the woodwork over the next 10 years for sure,
Yeah.
competition wise,
Yeah, and I would say
which will
one
be
last
interesting.
one last thing on that note, because I think it's important and it relates to our story too, which is, traditionally financial planning and advisors came from big wirehouses, big box firms. You
Mhm.
think of your Morgan Stanley and UBS, Ameriprise, Wells Fargo, like the big branded names that you've heard of. And in those spaces, there's so much conflict of interest that can exist because of proprietary products that need to be sold,
Yep.
because of commission models that still exist. And there's just so much more regulation and oversight, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but they have so many advisors that they have to keep tabs on, and it's just they have their own set of rules outside of what the SEC regulates.
Right.
So, when we made the decision to break away from that world and start our own firm a couple of years ago, which I can talk about later, it just it allowed us to not only have more freedom, but to be able to deliver so much more to our clients that we didn't have access to in that world before. And
Hmm.
I think that's a huge change. I mean, RIAs, which is registered investment advisors, have been around for a number of years, but gaining immense popularity in the last couple because of how much freedom and the ability to kind of structure and not have that, quote unquote, big box oversight over top of,
Right.
um, you and 13,000 other advisors across the country.
Right. Right. Yeah. Good insights. Good insights. Well, let's flip the script a little bit. So we like to celebrate wins and all that hard work that you do to win your fans for life there. Could you share like a success story that like with a client, or it could just be a company moment that you feel especially proud of?
Yeah, for sure. I kind of was thinking about one of each, as I was going through this. Like, to me, success story in our business comes down to me, like, there's so many like metrics out there for our business, that's, net inflows of assets and total assets under management. Like, everything in the industry is benchmarked that way because it has been forever.
Yeah.
To me, the biggest recipe for success for firms is, how many recommendations did you give that actually got implemented by your clients, right? If there was a way to measure, I gave, 100 clients 5 action items each, there were 500 things on there, and I got people to get 85% of that done. Like, that to me is the measure of success in financial planning.
Hmm.
It's empowering action in the people that you work with to create real change and continue to keep the ball rolling forward as they continue to try to reach, all the goals that they have. So when I was thinking of an example of a success story, like, I was thinking of, what's someone that I've worked with, recently, or have for a long time, that's had so much change and has implemented so many things where we've been able to drive just like outsized value. And the example that I was thinking of was, I'm going to remain and, keep everything anonymous and
Oh
as
yeah.
general as
Yeah.
possible. But ultimately, to me, I've been working with someone for about 6, 7 years in my career. And this person was single, was in grad school, mid 30s at the time, who happened to land a job on the West Coast, at a really small startup, at the time, where, 2 years after being there as a pretty entry level employee, had gotten some private, stock in the company that they were working with. And my niche is working with executives 30 to 50 years old with equity
Hmm.
compensation and complex benefits. So this person, while they were not making a huge income at the time, they had equity that came with their entry level job at an early stage startup. And 2.5 years go by. This is probably just after COVID, company went public. And this person went from making low six-figure salary to being in a position where, they had a mid seven-figure net worth.
Nice.
Um, Now, their life was still pretty simple. They were, single, had no children, relatively simple situation. And
Hmm.
over the last couple of years, I talk about the fact that like a plan is only as good as the day you put it in place. As much as you think that you have your life planned out and you think that you know what you're going to do, like things will change,
Right.
whether they're in your control or not. And this was all like 2021, 2022 timeframe. And fast forward 2.5 years to 2025, this person moved from West Coast to Southeast, right? So as far across the country as you could possibly be
Hmm.
uh, for work. This person then met a significant other that they married in the past 1 year down in that southeastern state, relocated back to the West Coast to be closer to family, and gave birth to their first child this year. And I think about, when I think about planning and I think about the fact that like, there's just some years that things remain status quo, but then there's years where you've got a move from the highest income tax state to a no income tax state.
Hmm.
Have you meeting someone where you basically said, I don't know if I'm going to end up getting married. You then fall in love, you move back to be closer to your parents who are aging, and you get pregnant. And in 1 year, you have a wedding, you give birth to a child, you now have a family to raise and things to decide about whether or not you continue to rent in a high cost living area or buy a house. And
Right.
all of that revolves around money, right?
Yeah.
Almost every decision, money is at, health and money are at the center of all of those conversations. And
Very
I just
true.
think about like, how much planning and how many decisions have to be made when you're going through a period of your life like that. And that to me is like
Hmm.
what I find the most enjoyment out of and what we do. And really just being a thought partner and like that personal CFO to be able to basically them come to me every single time a decision needs to be made and say, what do you recommend? What do you think I should do? Help me think through this. That to me is what I define as a success story in the work that we do.
That's awesome. That's totally about the relationship. Love it. So in this story, like what does that say about you and your firm's approach to client service?
Yeah, I think to me, our whole model is not to work with anyone and everyone. We're not trying to go work with, I work with just over 100 clients right now, and I would say, pretty close to near capacity at where I want to be long term.
Yeah.
And I can talk about how our structure is, like how we kind of operate like a dentist office where, your dentist you see for 3 to 5 minutes, maybe if there's some, or if
Right.
you have a crown or a cavity or something important, the dentist is going to step in, but you're going to see your hygienist for 80% of what you need.
Right.
And that's how we kind of structure things, right? The ability to bring in young people, teach them how to do this the right way, be able to let them service a good number of clients and us still be the advisor and be able to step in when big things happen in our clients' lives. So, I see myself working with somewhere between 100 and 125 clients at most. And I think what it says about our firm and what we do is that our goal is to provide a super high level service. And what we say in our firm is we want to give 5-star service for 4-star pricing. Our
Nice.
goal is not to help every single person. While, I would love to help anyone and everyone around financial
Yeah.
planning and money. That's part of the reason why I write on social media to like expand that scope, but we can't help everyone.
Right.
So our goal is to figure out who it is that really values what it is that we do and who we think that we can really add a lot of value to and help those people and figure out a way to do anything and everything for them and continue to add service. Um, and our goal is not to be an aggregator. We're not out there trying to buy up a bunch of firms, collect assets to multiply
Hmm.
us. Like our goal is to really strengthen our relationships, and in turn grow that way through referrals, through targeted marketing. But
Hmm.
ultimately, it's to have a few. And when I say a few, like relatively speaking to the industry, extremely thought out relationships that last for our entire career.
Yeah. Retainage is the best long term. That's awesome. That's a great story. I mean, it really shows like how much of an impact that you're making with your clients by having the long retainers, right? I mean,
Yeah.
even for myself as a marketing agent, I feel the same way. That success comes when retainers run a really long time, right?
Yeah. It
Because
has
then
to be a
you make
win-win.
it. Then you make a difference, right?
Right. And like it has to be a win-win. Like I met with a prospective client last week that I literally told on the call, like he made a joke about the fact that like, of course you're going to want my business. Everyone that I've met with wants my business. And I told that person, like, I will be very transparent if I don't think this is the right fit, right?
Hmm.
Like, yes, there's revenue that could be had by myself. Yes, I do think I'm going to give you value, but ultimately, if I don't see this being a complete win win, not only for us, but for you, then I'm going to tell you that and say, I don't think that we are the right fit to work together because
Hmm.
when I say yes to someone who's not the perfect fit, it means that I'm saying no to someone else who could be. And that's how we look at it, right? Like every client that we bring on has to be, I mean, you never are going to know. There's things that can happen um,
Right.
that you never know if someone's going to be the perfect fit, but there are things that I look for that I can signal right away that basically says, I don't think that person is going to be the best fit working with us long term. Because the goal is anytime we bring on a client, I hope to work with that person my entire career. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to work with that person for 2 or 3 years and then turn them over. Um, and it becomes a much more selective process when you're onboarding and thinking about working with someone to have that like long-term vision in mind.
Yeah. That's awesome. So let's flip it up again here. So I mean, every business has its challenges. So what's working really good right now? I think you kind of already told us all about. But what's frustrating? What are you trying to solve at this point in time for this year?
Yeah, I think what one of the biggest things that's challenging, and I'll start from a non-client perspective, I think really comes from growing and scaling a team. Um, I told someone this or I posted it. I don't know. I wrote it somewhere the other day, which I said like the hardest thing I've ever had to do is manage people.
Hmm.
And I love our team. We have a fantastic team here. It is like, as family feel as it could possibly be, but it it wasn't always that way. And we got to a point where we started to grow and we had turnover for the first time. And
Hmm.
it was nothing wrong with the people that were working on our team. It was just the fact that like managing expectations, managing growth, managing comp, managing everything that comes, multiple personalities and trying to grow and scale a team to provide a extreme level of service to your clients is not an easy task.
No.
Um, and when you go from three of us, basically like, think of just your family at home
Right.
to now a team of 10, 11 with two interns coming in next year, like it gets a lot more challenging. And everyone's trying to work towards the same goal, which is how do we provide the best experience possible to all of our clients? And there's a lot of work that goes into that.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff that we need to do to keep ourselves compliant. There's so much that we need to do to make sure that we are doing what is in our client's best interest. And there's so much behind the scenes that goes into that. And growing and scaling your team is a challenge that I never, I could never put into words what it's like because it's just not something I had ever experienced before, especially not from the
Hmm.
level that I'm at now and being in charge of a bunch of people on a team. So I would say like that is a constant challenge. It's something that I embrace because as we continue to grow and scale and offer more to our clients, we need to grow our team. Like we need
Yeah.
people to support us to do what it is we do and finding people that are local to our city that want to be here, people that are as passionate about providing that level of service as we are with the clients that we've worked with our whole career.
Sure.
Like it is no easy task. So I would say like, that's just a constant challenge that you're always going to be up against. And I think, really the biggest challenge, or some of the things that I said are changing in the industry, right? Like you've got this big shift. You've got the boomer generation who are retiring and going to be passing on the largest wealth creation to their heirs, we've ever seen in the history of, our world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think navigating just expectations from prospective clients is a really hard thing. Like in the era now of social media, there is an overwhelming amount of information that is out there, right? And I understand why the sentiment exists, because there are bad advisors, just like there are bad apples in almost any industry. But
Right.
there is such a sentiment, especially online, about why would you ever pay a financial advisor when you can just buy an index fund, right? Like I
Yeah,
see
I don't know. I don't know who started that conversation, but I've seen it too, as
oh
well.
my,
It's just
it's
like
yeah, it's everywhere.
it doesn't really answer the questions
It
that
doesn't answer the
people are looking
questions.
for.
But that is something that I am seeing constantly with especially people 40 and under, is why would I ever pay someone up? I mean, I'm not going to go into to cost models,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
why would I ever pay someone a percentage of what I have to give me advice when I can look this stuff up myself, right? And you're constantly battling that, and trying to figure out how to just understand that there are going to be people out there that do not fit your model and your
right.
service, and that is okay.
It is okay.
Um, you know, as an advisor myself, I can work with 100 to 125 people. Like I said, like that is a, a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the people out there that need help. And I
Hmm.
think what you have to understand is, how do I make sure that I am figuring out how to find those perfect, and like I said, perfect never exists, but those ideal 100 people, and being okay saying, no to someone that is not going to fit that bill. And I think that's just a challenge that you're constantly going to face. It's how do you continue to do more for your clients and charge appropriately for it and meet the expectation of what it is that they're looking for. And I think that is something that's a constant challenge, and comes with a lot of head trash yourself, of making sure that you know you're bringing as much value as possible, but that you're continuing to figure out ways to innovate and add more, and
Yeah,
overcome the objections that exist with the majority of our industry.
it's a great story, but I just want to point out, because I'm a little bit older, these are really good problems to have, right? Because you're over the hump. Now you're looking at the end game, and it's all good. I mean, yeah, managing people, it's not easy, especially because what's in here doesn't transfer to paper or other people's brains necessarily.
Right.
But you're constantly looking to improve them, or weed them out and replace them. I mean, that's just part of the deal, right?
Yeah, and
So
it's
that's pretty
if
cool. Let's just look ahead into the future a little bit. So every advisor I've been talking to has a vision for where they want to go next. Where
mhm.
where would you like your firm to be, let's just say in 6 to 12 months? Is it perfecting your ideal customer acquisitions? You said it's really not business growth, right? We already defined that.
Yeah, I mean, business growth is definitely a part of what we're trying to accomplish, but doing it intentionally in the right way. I would say for us, in the next 6 to 12 months, part of what we've now gone through is, like I said, figuring out how to be this one stop shop. Like that has been our vision. It was how to, I'm not going to even compare us to a family office because we're not a family office, but to me, I've always loved the idea of what a family office is, right? It's how do I
Yeah.
go to one place and I get everything from estate planning to tax prep and planning to investment management to, you know, niche services that we have the network to be able to connect people to. And how do I just go to one person and have them help me with everything? That was always my vision for what we could build and what I felt like we were capable of doing. And we're getting there. Tax preparation is included as part of our service. Estate planning
Hmm.
document creation is a part of our service. Full investment management and financial planning is a part of what we do and what people pay us for. So like we are becoming this one-stop shop for people. And part of that is that's a recent thing. We have 450 clients in our whole practice as it stands today. and between 4 advisors and basically 6 support staff and teammates behind us.
Yep.
And we have 200 of those clients that are going to be using our tax partnership this spring. Last year, it was
That's
about 50
cool.
to 60. 200, like I can't even comprehend the amount of work our team is going to have to go through this spring.
Right.
But a goal is basically just to make that process as seamless and as flawless as possible for the people we work with, and make sure that everything we've been hyping it up to be goes according to plan. But we're going to be, the entire month of March. I have no meetings. Schedule is cleared. All we're going to be doing is reviewing tax returns before they get filed, basically helping people get things to the accountants, tax planning strategy, reviews, projections. Like that is all I'm doing for the month of March. So when you talk about 6 to 12 months, like getting through that period in an efficient manner is something that's very top of mind, and I'm very excited about because it's going to add a
That's
ton of
cool.
value to the people we work with. Um,
That sounds
one,
great. I mean, congratulations, because I know that it took a lot of work to get there.
yes, it did take a lot of work, and we know it's not going to be perfect. We know there's going to be speed bumps and hiccups, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just going to be navigating through that and making sure that we're better prepared for the next time we do it.
Yeah.
Um, One thing right now is we have 2 full-time support advisors that support basically the 4 advisors. So, you know, call it 1 support advisor per 2 advisors. We have another one coming on full time. She interned with us this summer. She's coming on full time in January. So we'll have 3 covering 4 of us. Um, my goal over the next 6 to 12 months is to get the 2 that have been with us for almost the whole year into a position where they're ready to start servicing clients. Um,
Nice.
that process is, everyone moves at their own pace. It is, no one actually knows if they're ready, and no one probably is ready when they start it. But I went through this process. That was how I came up, and like getting into the position where I was contributing in meetings, ready to start having the conversation and be the point person for people, is how I
Mhm.
learned so much and how I grew to the position where I'm in, where I'm now going to be a partner in the firm. And it's really, there's so much that we need to do to get them into the position where they are going to be ready. And a lot of that's on them too. So it's, to me, over the next 6 to 12 months is to get 2 more people on our team ready to be able to start servicing clients, because that's the only way we grow. It's to
That-
be able to continue to transition people inside of our firm down the line and continue to bring in new people that we can help. So I'm really excited and ready to get them into that position. So
Yeah.
6 to 12 months, like that to me is what's top of mind. It's continuing to figure out new ways to innovate and expand what it is that we do for people. And then, 24 to 36 months, I've got all the metric goals and things that, I don't necessarily need to talk about here, but
Yeah.
our whole goal is to figure out a way to be very targeted in the way that we market in our referrals. It's how do we get people to refer upstream, right? Like instead of, oh, I feel bad for this person, I want you to talk to them. It's, here's someone that's in the same position that I am, or even, above me. I want them to come talk to you because of the experience that I've had.
Yeah.
Um, and how do we use our marketing efforts, my everything that I do on social media to target people that are the exact fit for who it is that we are working for.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is my big push for next year. It's figuring out how to speak exactly to those people, what it is that they're looking for, their pain points and needs, and doing everything we can to deliver on the promises that we make when we talk about the service level that we offer. Um,
Yeah.
and doing so with our core values.
That's awesome. I mean, those are exciting goals. It'll be great to see how your firm makes those into a reality this coming year.
Yeah, I'm excited about it as well.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. I mean, this has been a super valuable conversation. You're a great young man with a lot of energy and a lot of drive. I'm sure you're going to just pull off your 2026 like no other.
I appreciate you saying that. Thanks for having me on, Stephen.
Yeah, no problem. So thanks for sharing your journey and insights with us today on here on From Planning to Prosperity. Talk to you soon.